Economists had expected sales volumes to increase by 0.5%, but figures from the Office for National Statistics show they actually fell by 0.2%. It said physical stores continued to struggle at the expense of those with an online-heavy presence.
Yeah, well, joining us now is Kate Hardcastle, a consumer and retail expert at Insight with Passion. Kate, a very good morning to you. Are you surprised by these figures?
Good morning to you both. No, I think what we've got to understand is that we tend to buy emotionally, and there's a lot going on right now. So it's not a simple case at looking at the figures and saying, well, we're just not shopping in the same way. There's a lot at stake. We have been through so much as consumers. There is a big awareness campaign around the environment, how much we buy, people trying to do the right thing there. There's a huge nervousness in terms of what the household incomes are looking like. People very concerned about getting through. We know that fuel prices are increasing, which means that you're going to, if you're in a budget situation in the household, you're going to make sure that the big bills are paid first. And we're also hearing about shortages and challenges like fuel shortages. All together, when you combine it, actually, that emotional impact has just a greater impact on how we buy and how retail looks as actually the developments within retail itself.
And Kate, none of that is likely to change anytime soon. Along with the supply chain issues, we're expecting those to go on for some time still. So in terms of the government, what do we need to see from Rishi Sunak next week in his budget? Do we need to see an extension of the business rate holidays for high street shops, for example?
Most of the businesses who've been affected by COVID are crying out for continued support, and many are asking the government as well to rally longer term ideas rather than just the short term. And I think this is the crux of the matter. When we actually look at it, this is beyond those few months of pain with the lockdowns, but this is into a very real situation now where we have to create confidence by giving people certainty that there's going to be work for them, that income is going to be matched to any household bills, that there isn't going to be crises on real important factors like fuel, and indeed that there might be some extra coffers at the end of the day to be able to spend on items. I think also we've got to be realistic about just the increasing costs retailers are facing because increased freight, because of increased prices of goods. A lot of retailers are withstanding those costs at the moment to not pass them on to consumers, but it's likely that over the next few months, and probably particularly at a time when we want it least, maybe January time, we're going to start to see the true effect of those prices. That means that, again, customers are going to have to make some serious decisions about what they buy. But when it comes to matters like Christmas, we've always had this emotional element that people will stretch themselves quite a lot at Christmas to be able to try and reach to be able to buy more. But actually what's happening at the moment is we've seen a very different approach to Christmas. Consumers had a very different experience last year. They barely saw families. And I think it's going to be about people putting the true meaning there, i.e. getting together as families rather than how much they can all spend on each other. Research is very divided in that, and as many people saying that they're going to make this to a Christmas to remember by spending are saying they'll do it just by getting together, and actually gift spend will actually be down for them as families this year. So again, it's a very emotionally led element.
Yeah, and difficult for businesses as well, with corporation tax set to rise and national insurance contributions also going up in the spring.
So difficult for organisations. You know, we are a country that is as dependent on independent organisations as the big businesses. Big businesses have some buying power on all of this. They can buy ahead. They can try and make opportunities for employment look glossier and bigger and maybe do one-off payments, things like that. Small independent businesses really struggled. I've been speaking to some hospitality organisations, some retailers, both dependent on that area of town being buoyant with football. It's not there at the moment. Hospitality that's not able to open full hours because they just can't get staff members to do it. If they can get the team members in, they can't get the products, they can't run the same menus. Ditto the same in retail. It's not a case that we're going to see stores with empty shelves completely. But if you're a little independent retailer and Christmas is absolutely critical for your survival, that's your golden quarter, and you can't get all the products to sell, or you can't buy at the price point you want to sell at, that is incredibly difficult after 18 months of on and off trading.
Yeah, Kate, and I know from speaking to you, it's not just independent retailers who call you for advice on this. It's people or organisations like even Harvey Nichols who are facing problems at the moment. What is your advice to retailers who are really worried about balancing the books and what the landscape's going to look for them over the coming few years?
Everything's got to be about the relationship with the customer. If you're in any organisation, customers are more savvy than ever, they're more informed, they have smartphones at their fingertips, so they're going to be able to understand what they want to buy, where they want to buy it. And if you're selling on anything else other than price, you've got to make sure that that service offer or that immediacy of sale or whatever you're doing to create a better package is really reaching the customer in terms of messaging. We mustn't forget that whilst we've seen the shift online, we've also seen the increase in terms of the noise online. So much more messaging, advertising, promotion to customers. They're overloaded with it, which makes it a very difficult marketplace to try and get your message through as a business. I'm not saying that anyone should pity an organisation right now, but I think the reality has to exist. So if we as consumers want to do the right thing, it's balancing big business to small business purchasers. And I think if business wants to do the right thing, it's treasuring those customers and make sure you look after them this Christmas. Let them down on deliveries, let them down on price point, and unfortunately, there's too much choice elsewhere.
I did that classic thing yesterday of walking down a high street and seeing a shop had been boarded up that I've never bought anything from, but I've always liked having it there on my local high street. And I was really sad to see it had gone. It was Newbie, a children's retailer on Richmond High Street yesterday. And, it's the classic. If you want to keep stores, if you want to keep them there, you have to actually
They do function
spend
better
your
when
money
people
there.
go in there. Yeah.
All right, Kate, always good to see you. Thanks very much for coming on to the Great British Breakfast this morning.